Well, this investigation, it's now obviously a bigger investigation than it was 2 weeks ago. We now have 8 bodies found in the same location. And, it's also an opportunity. Unfortunately, we have 4 more bodies. I want to mention that. But it is an opportunity now that we may get more evidence pointing to the person responsible for these murders. So, we're obviously looking for evidence, and the forensic anthropologist is examining the bodies very carefully, and we're awaiting the results from the coroner on the manner and cause of death, the sex of the victims, ages, that kind of thing. And then hopefully we can identify them. And if we do identify them, that certainly moves the investigation forward. When you identify somebody, you now have something to work with. It's very difficult if you don't identify the person to come up with any leads.
Richard, this seems to be an absolutely massive investigation. How many people are working on the case?
Well, I should point out we have a lot of people at the scene right now. We have K9, we have our helicopter down there, we have our SIS unit, our homicide detectives are down there, major case detectives, and our police recruits. We have officers that are in the police training bureau. Some of them are out walking the terrain as we speak. We also have assistance from the fire department to, give us access overhead to the terrain. It's very rugged terrain, overgrown with very tough brambles and bushes. And so looking from overhead, is very, very important to see if we missed anything, if there's another body out there, if there's evidence out there. Now, the task force that we've set up under the direction of the Chief of Detectives consists of the Homicide Squad, Major Case Squad. And the size of the task force is really not of that importance. It's the focus and the expertise of the task force. And so it doesn't have to be extremely large. And so we're very careful in setting up the task force. I should also mention, by the way, that forensics or technology will probably solve this case. Computers and cell phones are utilized by the women that are involved in the prostitution business. And so we're working very diligently on identifying their contacts on their computers and their cell phones.
Richard, over here we'd be watching Law and Order Special Victims Unit, and we see the investigations that they undergo. Are those programs anything like what it is in real life working in the police department in New York?
Well, I got to tell your listeners that, on television, these cases are solved within an hour, or maybe a couple of segments. That's not what it's like in real life. And there are aspects to the programs that are real. The technology involved, the detective work, the interviewing of people of interest, acquaintances of the victims. In this case, we're interviewing many of the Johns that they've been in contact with and checking their phone records and their computer records. That takes time in the real world. Under our system over here, and I think probably in Ireland too, I believe it's the same, you have to get subpoenas and warrants to get into somebody's computer and their cell phone records. And so that takes time. It's not done overnight. It's not done in a day or a week. It takes time. I tell people all the time that it could take weeks and months and possibly years to solve this case. It's that complicated and that difficult.
And Richard, would this be one of the biggest cases that you've worked on during your career in the police force?
Yes, it is, certainly. This is the biggest case that I've ever been involved in. As you can imagine, 8 bodies found in the same location within a short period of time, obviously dumped there by somebody, and that's the person we're looking for. And so, yes, it's the biggest case I've ever been involved in. And, again, this is what police work is all about. We are well capable of handling a case like this. The department is large enough to handle a case like this. We have 2,700 sworn officers. We're the second largest county police department in the U.S., And we also have the assistance of the FBI. They've been in contact with us. We've sat down with them. We've gone over the case with them. Their forensic analysis unit is helping us out, the profiling unit. And so we're all working very diligently to try and catch this guy and bring him to the bar of justice.
People may not remember you, but you grew up in County Laois, in Craighyard.
Yes, Craighyard, Newtown Craighyard in County Laois. That's where I was born and raised. Beautiful area, great people down there. The salt of the earth. And at 18, I decided to spread my wings and landed in New York. And the rest is history. Went in the police department after I became a citizen. Rose to the ranks. After 30 years, I was a 3-star chief. It's like a 3-star general in the military, in the army. 1-star chief would be a deputy chief, and so on. It's the highest rank in the police department, 3 stars. And I retired in 1993 after 30 years. And then when the county executive, Steve Levy, was elected in 2004, he asked me to come back and run the police department. And I was very happy to do that. I love police work. I love the challenge. I love the day-to-day grind of solving crimes. And certainly, this thing stirs my juices again. I'm very turned on by this thing. I'd love to catch this guy. The families out there would like to find closure. They'd like to know that their loved one's killer has been brought to justice. So that's our goal.
So do you think a lot about it, or are you able to switch off when you go home in the evenings to your family?
No, you don't switch this stuff off. I still think about it. I'm sitting in front of the television just reading, and I'm thinking to myself, well, did we do this? I got to mention this tomorrow at the staff meeting. Or I might pick the phone up and call the chief of detectives, and I'll say, Dominic, did you think of this? We should do this. And, sometimes he'll say, we're already doing that, or that sounds like a good idea. And so, you do live with this stuff. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that you can cut this thing off at 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock at night. No way. And, I think that's true with a lot of businesses. You think of ideas at night, or even at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll be up and writing notes to myself. So, it is consuming, but it's also exciting, and you want to solve this thing, and as I mentioned, bring closure to the families that are worrying about their loved ones. And I should mention, by the way, that just because these young women were involved in prostitution does not in any way change how we investigate these crimes. We want to find this killer. The killer is a killer. He should be brought to justice, and that's what we want to do.
During your career, were you ever put in a situation where you might have felt a bit intimidated about it, or a dangerous situation?
Well, throughout my career, I've had some dangerous situations, but my training came through, and I handled it appropriately. I had 2 years in the U.S. Army, which was very valuable too. I was in the infantry in the Army. And so, I'm not intimidated. I come from a tough background. The people from Craighyard and Newtown and Ferrymount are a tough group. We can handle anything. So when I came to America at 18, even though I was a young lad, pretty green, I still had a good background in dealing with adversity and dealing with issues. And so, America after a while became easy to handle. And it's a great country, by the way, the U.S. It welcomes people from all over the world. And I found that I was welcomed into the U.S., and I appreciate that very much.
You really have a passion for the job. As you said, you retired in the mid-90s, and then you took up the role as police commissioner. Have you any plans to retire, or are you going to keep going as long as possible?
Well, I'll tell you, you never know in this business. I might want to move on to another occupation, because I'm like that. I'm always looking for challenges. That's my Irish background. I think it's in our DNA, the Irish DNA. We're hard workers. We're very focused. We handle problems. We deal with it. And, I know that everybody over there in Ireland is dealing with issues today. And, that's what we do. And, I tell my relatives and friends when they call me, hang in there, this too shall pass. The Irish have always come through, and they'll come through again.
You did manage a private security company, and you were teaching subjects at one of the local colleges as well, I believe.
Yeah, I'm still teaching. I love, getting up before the students, these young people. They're very interested in this stuff, and, they want to hear about this serial killer. And, of course, I can't give them all the information, the inside stuff, but it keeps me sharp. I got to stay on top of everything because if you're teaching, you can't let things slide. And so I'm on top of the game, and I like to stay that way.
So you're a very busy man. Do you ever get time off to return to Ireland and visit your relatives in Laois?
Well, my wife and I are planning possibly next year to take a short trip over there. I want to see my brother, my sister, my aunt, and all my friends in Newtown Credit Yard and Ferrymount. Especially the guys I played football with many years ago. I still think about them, and would love to say hello to them again.
Yeah, because I have to ask you about that as well. You played for the Laois team as well at one stage.
Well, I was lucky enough to get picked for the senior team at 17. It was a great honor to play for the county team. They had a very strong team at that time, and here I am, a youngster from Credit Yard, Newtown Credit Yard, picked for the senior team. It was a short run because I was planning to come to the States, and but I cherish it. I cherish the memory of playing with the county team, with the great people that were on that team at that time, Noel Delaney, Jack Canaan, the rest of them, Fenton Walsh, great footballers, all played for Leinster. And I still think about them, and, some of them are still around, so they may hear me on the radio, and I just want to say to them, I always treasure that time, very short time with them. They were great people.
And then when you arrived in New York, you donned a Mayo jersey and Kilkenny jersey as well.
You did some research on me. I played for Mayo with Padraig Carney and Pat McAndrew and a great bunch of guys from Mayo. Played with them for a short time, and then my cousin Sean Brennan, Kilkenny and Kildare fame, formed the Kilkenny football team in New York. And so I played for years with them. We won 3 New York championships with Kilkenny. A great team, by the way. We had players from all over Leinster on that team, from Dublin, Wicklow, Kildare, Paddy Cummins, Peter Maguire, all these great players. And Sean did a great job. He was a great player, one of the best players that ever laced on the boots.
So do you still follow the GAA?
Oh, yeah, no, I follow it religiously. I know the Laois hurlers and footballers won last week. I was very proud of that because they had run into a bad spell there. And I see they both won, and I wish them well in the championship that's upcoming. So I'm going to be cheering them from over here, up Laois.